Exodus chapter 12, the Passover. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt and said, "This month is to be the beginning of all months, the first month of your year. Speak to the whole community of Israel and say to them, on the 10th day of this month, let each family take a lamb for each household. If the family is too small for a lamb, they must join with a neighbor, the nearest to the house, according to the number of persons and to what each one can eat. You will select a perfect lamb without blemish, a male born during the present year, taken from the sheep or goats. Then you will keep it until the 14th day of the month. Between evening and morning, the whole congregation of the community of Israel will slaughter their lambs and take some of the blood to put on the two doorposts and on top of the door frames of the houses where you eat. That night you will eat the flesh roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat the meat raw or boiled in water, but roasted entirely over the fire, the head, the legs, and the inner parts. Do not leave any of it until the morning. If any is left till morning, burn it in the fire. And this is how you will eat, with a belt round your waist, sandals on your feet, and a staff in your hand. You shall eat hastily, for it is a Passover in honor of the Lord. On that night I shall pass through the land of Egypt, and strike every firstborn in Egypt, both men and animals, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign on the houses where you live. I will see the blood and pass over you, and you will escape the mortal plague when I strike the land of Egypt. This is a day you are to remember and celebrate in honor of the Lord. It is to be kept as a festival day for all generations, as an everlasting ordinance. The Feast of Unleavened Bread. For 7 days you are to eat unleavened bread. From the first day you are to remove all leaven from your houses, for if anyone eats leavened bread from the first to the 7th day, that person will be ostracized from Israel. On the first day there will be a sacred assembly, and another on the 7th. No work is to be done on these days except what is necessary in the preparation of food. Celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread, because on that day I brought your armies out of Egypt. Celebrate it in future generations and as an everlasting ordinance. In the first month, from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st, you are to eat unleavened bread. For 7 days there should be no leavened bread in your houses. Anyone who eats what is leavened should be ostracized from the community of Israel, whether an alien or a native born. Nothing leavened is to be eaten, only unleavened bread is to be eaten in all your settlements. Moses called all the elders of Israel and said to them, "Go and select one animal for each family and slaughter the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop dipped in a basin of blood and apply the blood on the top of the door frame and the doorpost. From then on, no one will go out of the door of the house until morning, because the Lord will pass through to strike Egypt. And when he sees the blood on the top of the door frame and the doorpost, he will pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to enter your houses and kill you. You and your descendants shall observe these instructions as an ordinance forever. You will carry out this ceremony when you enter the land that the Lord will give you, as he has promised. And when your children ask you, what does this ceremony mean, you will tell them, it is the sacrifice of the Passover, for the Lord who passed over the houses of the Israelites when he struck Egypt, but spared our houses." When the people heard this, they bowed down and worshipped. Then they went away and did exactly as the Lord had ordered Moses and Aaron. Death of the firstborn. It happened that at midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on the throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the animals. Pharaoh, his officials, and all the Egyptians got up in the night, and there was loud wailing in Egypt, for there was no house without a death. Permission to depart. Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron in the night and said, "Get up and go away from among my people, you and the people of Israel. Go and worship the Lord as you have said. Take your sheep and your cattle as you told me and go. Pray that the blessing comes on me as well." The Egyptians too pressed the people to leave the country in all haste, for they said, "If they do not go, we are all dead." So the Israelites carried away the dough before it was leavened, and their kneading bowls wrapped in their cloaks on their shoulders. They did as Moses had instructed them and borrowed from the Egyptian articles of gold and silver and clothes. The Lord made the Egyptians so well disposed toward the people that they let them have whatever they asked for. In this way they plundered the Egyptians. Departure from Egypt. The Israelites left Ramses for Sukkoth, about 600,000 of them on the march, counting the men only and not their dependents. A great number of other people of all descriptions went with them, as well as sheep and cattle in droves. With the dough they had brought with them from Egypt, they made cakes of unleavened bread. It had not risen, for they were driven out from Egypt and could not wait to prepare food for themselves. The Israelites had been in Egypt for 430 years. It was at the end of these 430 years, on this very day, that the armies of the Lord left Egypt. This is the night when the Lord kept watch to bring Israel out of Egypt. This night is for the Lord, and the sons of Israel are also to keep vigil on this night, year after year, for all time. Passover ordinance. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "These are the precepts for the celebration of the Passover. No foreigner is to eat it, except a slave who has been circumcised after having been bought. He may eat it, but not so the temporary resident or the hired worker. The lamb must be eaten inside the house, and nothing of it shall be taken outside. Do not break any of its bones. All the community of Israel will observe this rite. If a resident alien is staying with you and wants to celebrate the Passover of the Lord, he must have all the males in his household circumcised. Then he may take part like a native, but no uncircumcised man may participate in it. The law is the same for the native and for the resident alien living with you." All the people of Israel did exactly as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. And on that same day the Lord brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt in their armies. Exodus chapter 13. Consecration of the firstborn. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Consecrate to me every firstborn. The first to open the womb among the Israelites, whether human or animal, is mine." Moses said to the people, "Remember the day you came out of Egypt, from the house of slavery, for it was by his power that the Lord brought you out. Because of this you will not eat leavened bread. On this day in the month of Abib you are going out, when the Lord brings you to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey, which he swore to your fathers to give you. You will perform this ceremony in this month. For 7 days you will eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day you will hold a feast in honor of the Lord. You will eat unleavened bread for 7 days, and no leavened bread is to be seen among you, or anywhere throughout all your territory. On that day you will tell your son, I do this because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. This ceremony will be for you as a sign of your hand and a reminder on your forehead, so that the Lord's law may be ever on your lips, for it was with great power that the Lord brought you out of Egypt. Because of this you will observe this ordinance at the appointed time from year to year. When the Lord brings you to the land of the Canaanites and gives it to you, as he swore to you and to your fathers, you are to give over to the Lord all that first opens the womb, and every firstborn of your cattle as well. These firstborn males are for the Lord. Every firstborn donkey will be redeemed by a lamb, and if you do not redeem it, you are to break its neck. Every firstborn among your sons you are to redeem. When in the future your son questions you as to what it means, you will say, the Lord by his power brought us out of Egypt from the house of slavery. As Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord slew every firstborn in Egypt, of man and beast alike. That is why I sacrifice to the Lord all the males that open the womb, but the firstborn of my sons I redeem. It will be as a sign on your hand and as a pendant on your forehead, reminding you that with great power the Lord brought us out of Egypt. The climax of Exodus event. When Pharaoh allowed the people to go away, God did not let them go through the land of the Philistines, although it was nearer, for God thought that the people might lose heart if they were faced with the prospect of a battle and would return to Egypt. God therefore led the people by the way of the wilderness towards the Sea of Reeds, so the Israelites left Egypt in battle array. Moses took with him the bones of Joseph, for he had made the sons of Israel swear, saying, God will surely come to your rescue, and then you must carry my bones with you away from here. They moved on from Succoth and encamped at Etham, bordering the wilderness. By day the Lord went before them in a pillar of cloud to guide them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, enabling them to travel day and night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night disappeared from the sight of the people. Psalm 28, Prayer of Thanksgiving for Health. To you, O Lord, I call, my rock, be not deaf to me. For if you heed me not, I shall sink into the pit like the rest. Hear my cry for mercy as I call to you for help, as I lift up my hands towards your innermost sanctuary. Do not drag me away with the wicked, with those evil scheming men, who speak peace to their neighbors, while they sow mischief and confusion. Repay them according to their deeds, according to the wickedness of their deeds. Repay them according to the work of their hands, render them what they deserve. Since they have no regard for the works of the Lord, he will tear them down and never let them rise again. Blessed be the Lord, he has heard my cry for help. The Lord is my strength, my shield, in him my heart trusts. I have been helped and my heart exalts. With my song I give him thanks. The Lord is the strength of his people, the saving refuge of his anointed. Save your people and bless your inheritance. Be their shepherd and carry them forever. Matthew chapter 18, verse 21 to 35. Then Peter asked him, Lord, how many times must I forgive the offenses of my brother? 7 times? Jesus answered, No, not 7 times, but 70 times. The unforgiving servant. The kingdom of heaven is like this. A king decided to settle accounts with his servants. When the accounting began, a man was brought before him who owed him 10,000 talents. As the man had no means of repaying the debt, the king commanded that he be sold along with his 5 children and all his goods to repay the debt. The servant threw himself at the feet of the king and said, "Give me time, and I will pay back everything to you." The king took pity on him and not only set him free, but even canceled his debt. These servants then left the king's presence, and he met one of his companions who owed him 100 denarii. He grabbed him by the throat and began to choke him, saying, pay me what you owe." His companion threw himself at his feet and begged him, "Give me time and I will pay everything." The other did not agree, but sent him to prison until he should pay all his debt. The other servants saw what had happened. They were indignant, and so they went and reported everything to their lord. Then the Lord summoned his servant and said, "Wicked servant, I forgave you all that you owed when you begged me. Should you not have had pity on your companion as I had pity on you?" The Lord was now angry, and he handed the servant over to be tortured until he should pay back his debt in full. Jesus added, "So will my heavenly Father do with you, unless each of you sincerely forgives his brother from his heart."